Dr. Fannin, who is a world-renowned neuroscientist. And we are here today to talk specifically to athletes in contact sports. And we will be talking to you about the importance of reducing inflammation and how it improves your performance. Because we all know we want to be the best athletes we can be. I myself am a sprinter. Dr. Fannin is an ex-rugby player as well. So we have a really cool topic and people to do all of this with today, don't we? So thanks so much for joining us. I'm really excited to get into it. We're going to make it nice and short. We're just going to be really mindful of your time today. And so we're just going to start right off by asking Dr. Fannin a couple of fun questions about what is inflammation for a contact sport athlete and what ways does it show up for somebody in a contact sport?
Yeah, well, it shows up in a lot of different ways, Chloe. We see things that, like obvious inflammation in injury. When somebody has a concussion, we'll see inflammation, particularly in the brain. And sometimes that'll even get down into the muscles in the neck and the shoulders. We'll see a lot of mood swings where, and that can encompass a lot of different things. Usually anger, sadness, withdrawn, those kinds of things. A drop in energy when we see a lot of inflammation in the body. We just don't seem to have as much energy as we had when we didn't have the inflammation. Sleep is probably one of the bigger elements when we're dealing with that. Is too much inflammation interferes with the sleep patterns. And we also see a lot of very poor recovery rates that are happening when somebody has too much inflammation. And sometimes it's really hard to recognize that you have inflammation going on. So you have to look at these other symptoms. If your ankles are swelling, then you've got some inflammation there. But otherwise, look to some of these other symptoms to help you know that your inflammation, and you just don't feel quite right? Yeah.
Well, I suppose some athletes, it might be the norm for them to not feel right, especially for some of these things, like you were saying about mood and energy and sleep and even digestion. They're things that I think myself, even as an athlete, I know a lot of us wouldn't have even thought of those sorts of things as a sign of inflammation.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you're versed in that, you're probably not going to pick it up. You're not paying attention to that. But if you are aware of these are some of the symptoms, then you can begin to look into that and say, oh, well, I must have too much inflammation going on in the body.
Yeah. That's so good to know. So I hope this is helping anybody out there. We're here to educate you and to help you find a way that you can reduce inflammation in your body naturally, though. Yes. So, Dr. Fannin, there's going to be a lot of athletes here on our call today who some are, say, at the beginning of their career and some who are at the end of their career. And it would be great if you could just explain the importance of reducing inflammation no matter what stage people are in their career, especially around like the longevity of their health with or without sport.
The more that you can reduce inflammation, the more that you're going to lengthen your career. Because when you look at all of those symptoms that I just mentioned, whether you're at the beginning of your career, the middle of your career, the end of your career, the more inflammation that you have is going to lead you down that path of, well, I just don't feel like playing anymore, or I can overcome all of this, mind over matter kind of thing. At the beginning, we're impervious. We think that we can do anything, but we can do it longer and we can do it better if we reduce the inflammation. So no matter what stage your career is at, or even if you're not in athletics, you think about just inflammation in general, it's going to help you have a healthier body, a healthier mind, and just feel better about living and the things that you do, and finding greater amounts of joy and satisfaction in those things. So it really is the same for whether you're an elite athlete or just a regular person. or whether you are at the beginning of your career or towards the end of your career. We all want to feel good.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even when it comes to health and disease and things like that, we have no idea where our bodies and our health could be in the next 5-10 years, maybe even next week. We have no idea. And that's why it's important to think of this as a preventative health measure as well, isn't it? Not just.
Yeah, well, I'm a living example of that. Just a little over a year ago, I was in the hospital near death because one day I was feeling perfectly fine, and the next day I was in the intensive care unit with a drop in my sodium levels and near death. And I was in the hospital for 3.5 weeks. Never imagined, I never saw it coming. So you're right. You know, sometimes we take that for granted, and we never know when those things are going to happen. Now, if I had done some of these things back then and were taking some of the product, you know, that would help reduce the inflammation, maybe I wouldn't have gone through that, you know, because the viral infection or the inflammation that was going on in my body, and I had no idea it was there, you know.
Wow.
Anybody can have anything happen at any time. So as a preventative measure, you know, it's really excellent. And I feel so much better that I'm taking the products and, you know, just having more energy, feeling more alive, just enjoying life a lot more after coming back from all of that just a little over a year ago.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. And you just reminded me of my partner who had a career-ending injury, which he never in his life thought he would ever have. And it's the same. It's something you can't predict. It's something that you don't want to be the person that wishes they had taken preventative measures. You want to get on it now before anything happens. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about the product in a minute. But that's why this is so important to educate ourselves on, no matter what stage you are of your career.
It's like the old saying goes, you dig the well before you're thirsty, you know, so the preventative things that we can do, because we live in a day and age when not only can we measure those things, but we have some incredible products that are available and actually work. And we're not supplementing something into our body like a supplement. It is more of an activator. It activates those elements to help the body heal.
Yeah, exactly. So let's actually get on topic about those. So we have 2 100% natural products that we would like to share with you of a way that you can actually naturally reduce inflammation in our bodies. And now something that I've personally been told about these and that I like to share on with you, and it might be a really great way for you to understand if you can take it or not. And that's basically if you can eat salad, if you can eat curry, if you can drink tea or coffee, it's safe for you. So Dr. Fannin, do you want to give a brief explanation on what these products are and the benefits as a contact sport athlete may have from them?
Sure. We're essentially talking about 3 different elements here. One is NRF1, NRF2, and Axio. So there's some pretty incredible products, and I was quite amazed when I started reading the science about this to understand what it was all about because of the natural products. So the elements of the products, there are 5 of them, and they have been used in Ayurvedic medicine for thousands of years. Now, it's not the products themselves that gives it the power, but it gives the elements of how it is formulated. That's what gives it the power. So in combination, there are some slides out there that show that the combination of these elements and how they're formulated is 18 times stronger than just the particular element itself. So when we talk about NRF1, we're talking about the repair of the mitochondria. So we all understand what free radicals are. If you don't, you can Google that. And antioxidants. So there's this war that's going on in our body in the cells of our mitochondria. Mitochondria is where we get the energy from. And so we don't have to change the batteries in our body. You know, it naturally generates this energy that we receive. Now, the older we get, the more antioxidants, the free radicals are attacking the body. So the millions of times a day, these free radicals are doing some damage. And it's when you're taking the NRF1, it's actually producing a couple of enzymes, the catalase and the SOD, the superoxide mutase, allows the repair of that. So it produces lots and lots of these two enzymes that attack the free radicals. Because if we don't do that, it's a lot like trying to put out a house fire with a Dixie cup full of water. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that when you are taking an antioxidant, berries and vegetables and things like that, and you have a free radical, so it's a one-on-one relationship. One antioxidant will get rid of one free radical. And that's what I mean by trying to put out a house fire with a Dixie cup full of water. Whereas the utilization of the NRF1 will give you like a 1,000,000-to-1 ratio. So I don't know about you, but rather than having a one-on-one ratio, I would prefer to have a 1,000,000-to-1. Now,
keep eating your salad though.
What's that?
Keep eating your salad and your fruit though.
Yes, keep eating the salad. The greens are good. So one of the key elements here is the NRF2, and NRF2 deals with the DNA. So we have markers in our DNA, and we call that epigenetics. That's why some people get cancer, some people get heart disease, why some people have immune issues, is because the markers get turned on or off. You probably heard people say, well, in my family we get cancer, or in our family, people die of heart disease, that sort of thing. It's because those markers get turned on, and then we are subject to those. So NRF2 works on the DNA and allowing that to give us a more healthy outlook. It's turning off those genetic predispositions, if you will. And so,
can I pause you there for a second, Dr. Fannin, because you said something really awesome, that there's a massive community, especially here within France, of a Pacific Island culture. And amongst the cultures, depending on which cultures that are around in the sports, there's huge predisposition of these sorts of diseases. So if you are a Pacific Islander and you're watching this, or if you are in a culture or background that has any of these diseases, like, find out what your family history is, because this is not just about sport. This is about your entire health. So if you feel inclined, go and find out what your family history is, because what Dr. Fannin is talking about right now could be exactly what you need to improve your overall health, that you could pass on through the family.
Yeah, and one thing we have to be aware of is oxidative stress. And people think that what we're referring to is just regular stress, and people say, well, I'm not really stressed. But we all have oxidative stress, and we can't get away from it. So if you took an apple, you cut the apple in half, left it out in the air, what does it do? It turns brown. Yeah, that's oxidative stress. And so it is, all diseases are linked to oxidative stress. So the more oxidative stress we have, the more pronounced some of these things can be. For example, in 1976, there were 65,000 toxic chemicals on the market. And so the Environmental Protection Agency passed a statute to help give us some information about which toxic chemicals, now sounds like an oxymoron, which toxic chemicals are good and which ones are not so good. To me, all toxic chemicals are not good. But here we are today, and there are over 85,000 toxic chemicals on the market. And so we're starting to see a rise of incidents of where 26% of all adults in the United States are dealing with some depressive or mental disorder. Around the world, there are 322 million people who are dealing with depression or anxiety, and it's increasing over the years, and it has a lot to do with this oxidative stress. So the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, and just being around this toxic environment in the world, we're going to be subject to that. And so that's why it's even more important to get involved with the NRF1, NRF2, the one to repair the mitochondria, and the NRF2 to help deal with the elements of the DNA and deal with some of these markers that may be coming down through our ancestral lineage. The third element that I want to talk about is Axio. And Axio,
which is not available to us here at the moment, but it will be very soon.
All right. So anyway, Axio is very, very important because it is an all-natural element. It is actually approved by the
BSCG,
and along with WADA. Now, when I say approved, that means it's 1 out of 40 items that they have on the list that elite athletes or Olympic athletes can take without worry of having repercussions from that, because it's all 100% natural, and it reduces inflammation, and that's been clinically proven, and it may improve your recovery time and injuries and concussions. And so this product is not an energy drink, but it is an activator that helps open up your focus, your concentration. So you can only imagine how that's going to help you in competition, where you have more focus, more concentration, and you're able to be present in the moment of the play of whatever sport that you're dealing in. And it also helps to prevent very severe long-term issues associated with any contact sport. So Axio is a very good product. I've been using it with many of the people that I work with, and helping them to improve their focus, concentration, like ADD and anxiety and depression and so forth, and autism, and watching what happens with them just taking that. So I don't go anywhere without my Axio. Constantly drinking.
Speaking of your mental clarity and focus, I know we have a couple of minutes left, so we'll honor everybody's time, but let's quickly just talk about how you said in sports specifically, with the mental clarity and focus that comes along with the reduction of inflammation, how that could really benefit someone in a contact sport in a game setting. So if they had better mental clarity, if they had better focus, if they had better perceptions and coordination and all of that, like what could that mean for these athletes?
All of that. And so, being able to have, what's the difference between an average athlete and an elite athlete? Well, an elite athlete is more finely tuned, and this is more of a tuning device, if you will, to allow them to be more aware of what's going on, being able to track their opponent easily and keep up with them, to be in the right place at the right time to make the right catch, those kinds of issues where your brain is processing a lot of information very, very quickly in order to handle that. So the average athlete that's not utilizing this, he's going to be at a disadvantage, whereas somebody...
talk about that, the complete comparison of if you're not using this and you are tired and you're not getting the restful night's sleep that you want to be having, but for some reason you're not getting it, or maybe you're injured, versus the person who is reducing the inflammation and is having their perceptions, their coordination, their focus, their mental clarity. The complete comparison of these people are different athletes. It can affect an entire team.
It will. It'll affect an entire team, and I think those are some of the reasons that your coach or your team doctor is going to allow this to take place. One, that it's sanctioned by the BSCG and WADA to so that you can take that. It is an approved measure, and it actually works, and it helps improve your
clinically proven. Yes.
Yeah, all the things we've been talking about on this this segment here. So why would you not want to do that? It would be my question. If you want to be an elite,
who doesn't want to have preventative?
If you want to be a champion, if you want to be a championship team, then you definitely have to start seriously thinking about this and actually using it with some consistency.
Exactly. Yes, 100%. I love it. Thank you so much. Now, if anybody has any more questions, if you would like to pass along any research, feel free to reach out to me personally, and I'm more than happy to send you any documents or videos or information for yourself or for your coaches and staff at your team. I'd just like to thank you so much for joining us and for investing this time to expand your knowledge and your awareness, because knowledge is power. Okay, and we want you to be the best athletes that you can be, and that's why we're here today, to help educate you to do so. So I hope to hear from you soon, and thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.